Hey Becky, how are you? Hey Jen, how are you? Okay, Dan is on, guys. I am. Hey Ophelia, thank you guys for watching. There he goes. Hi,
Hey, what's up, Juanita?
how are
How you
you?
doing?
Good, good. How are
I'm
you?
good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm
I'm well,
good.
thank you.
Go, hey Pat, welcome guys. So, as some of the people are just tuning in to watch, those that are watching, I want to thank you. Please make sure that you share this video, you tag people, you let people know that tonight's interview is going to be amazing. So, no one wants to miss this. So, before we get started, I'm going to introduce you to Dan. I just met Dan actually yesterday, right? Through messaging. Um, and
That's right.
and Dan is just newly diagnosed. So before we get into his diagnosis and living with lung cancer and stuff like that, Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, if you're married, how many kids you have, all the basic stuff that everyone asks.
No problem. I'm 35, diagnosed at 34. Live outside of live in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia,
Mhm.
northern suburbs. Two kids, almost 3-year-old on Sunday,
Ooh.
a 5-year-old, and both are girls. They're tremendous. Show me unconditional love,
Mhm.
and very thankful to have them in my life. With that, of course, I have an amazing wife who is a great support to me through all of my appointments every day, so on. Without her and my kids and my family, other parts of my family, it'd be so difficult to get through every day.
Right. So Dan, when were you diagnosed and what stage are you? So give us your story.
So stage 4A, November, just before November 15th, I've narrowed down. A cough started, some heartburn during the summer prior to that of 2018. So less than a year now. Um, I started with like a chronic cough. It wouldn't go away. When you go to the doctor says, hey, no big deal. You have a cough. It'll go away in a couple weeks.
Mhm.
It's not, you have a cold. So I didn't really bother for it, seeing anybody for about a month. So a month passes by and I've got cough drops out, bags of cough drops that I'm going through. Not cough medicine so much, just cough drops, cold medicine here, cold medicine there, nothing really working, pushing fluids, honey, whatever I can do, just trying to combat the symptoms that I had. So, and at that point, it was like a cold, but mostly just a chronic cough. Um, Fast forward to about a month in, so mid-December, I see my doctor at my work. I work at a big building, big facility,
Mhm.
lots of resources, great employer. So he's part of the same network that my primary care physician is. So I thought, let's see what he has to say.
Mhm.
And he wrote me a Z pack, and Z pack didn't do anything. He said, if you don't feel better in about 5 days, go see your primary care physician. Tell him what I did, and let's see what he says. So I go to him, and he's like, we didn't give you. He didn't give you enough. Let's give you something stronger to knock it out. I'm like, all right, so be it. So I get a bigger Z pack, I guess, and longer duration,
Mhm.
and didn't work. So I go back in January, mid-January, and at this point, I've already had like, I've been fatigued, but nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that I would have been able to battle through before.
Mhm.
It's just whatever. I'm fighting a cold. I'm a little tired. Not a big deal. So about mid-January, I go back to him and he's like, maybe we should think about scheduling an X-ray. And I'm like, okay. I said, let me know, when I can do it, how you want me to do it, where I can go, so on. And at this point, I'm a healthy individual, very active, outside of, running around with my kids, but also live moderate lifestyle, eat everything, so on. So the last thing I'm thinking is that there's something wrong. Fast forward a couple weeks, January 31st, take my daughters to dance. While one's in one dance studio, I'm in the next room running around with the other. I run about maybe 20, 30 feet, and I'm severely out of breath just in a jog. I'm like, wow, that's weird. Something's really the matter. So come home, put the kids to bed, talk to the wife. She's like, I want you to call telemedicine. It's a benefit that we have through my wife's insurance, where we can do a video phone call with the doctor at any point. So doctor comes on after connecting. I have no idea where he's from or anything like that. Told him I had a little tightness in my chest. I've had this chronic cough, shortness of breath. I had lost my voice at this point. I was very raspy and deep. And he's like, I think you could have had a minor heart attack. And I'm like, come on, I'm 34. What do you mean I had a minor heart attack? How does that even happen? I'm super active. What do you mean? He said, go get it checked out. So I went to the hospital. They immediately put a flu mask on me. I told them, listen, I've had this cough since November. There's no way that I have the flu. I'm around my daughters all the time. I'm around my wife, around people at work. There's no way I have the flu. Took about 5 minutes after getting into the ER and getting a bed and so on, put into a room. And they said, you're right, you don't have it, but we're going to figure out what's wrong with you. I'm like, all right, so you're going to send me home in a little bit, right? I had gone to the hospital by myself, told my wife, listen, I'll be home in a little bit. I'll be all right, not a big deal. Blood work, EKG, X-ray, nothing showed anything. Eventually they did a CT scan, and the results came back early hours of the morning. And a doctor came in, sat down, and said, I don't know how to tell you, but you have a mass in your chest pressing against your airway where it splits off to either side of your lungs. I said, all right. And he said, it's pretty significant. That's what's cutting off your airway, causing trouble breathing, cutting off your, it's the caused all of your symptoms. I'm like, okay. He says, we're 90% sure it's cancerous and we think it's lymphoma. So that right then, that hit me. How do you take that news where someone tells you something that is so life-changing? And immediately I had broken down. One of the things that came into my mind was my uncle, at 41, died of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma 6 months after being diagnosed.
Wow.
And he was diagnosed at the end of January as well. And here I am sitting or lying in a hospital bed about the same time frame, 7 years younger, but still, I put myself in his shoes and what his situation was, and I immediately became very scared. Called my wife. She joined me at the hospital. We spent the next day in the hospital, February 1st, and were eventually discharged. The reason that we were discharged was they felt that they couldn't do anything for us. My pulse ox was in the 90s, so it was enough to get enough oxygen to be able to function, but I wasn't getting enough oxygen to do anything as far as exerting any additional energy, doing anything. So I was told my airways, later on I was told my airways were be bigger than the width of your thumb, nothing smaller than, and I was down to the width of a pencil.
Oh.
That's a pretty big deal. So that's kind of like where everything kind of started. We had some additional appointments after that. If you'd like, I can get into that. 4 bronchoscopies later, a number of different biopsies for staging, ultimately, a stent was placed in my airway that split off to my left lung to open things up. I was dilated. It was February. It was difficult for me to get from my desk or from my car to my desk. 34 years old, fit. Why am I having this trouble getting from my car to my desk? I'm out of breath. I can't go upstairs. None of it makes sense, before or after diagnosis. And it's all a very, very scary situation for me, my family, so on. Um, but the stent was short term, February 15th to April 5th. The stent came out every time they biopsied, as they should, right? Textbook.
Right.
So we have a sample from every time that they went in, and they staged it stage 4A. It's scary.
Yeah.
I joined the ALK Facebook page, I want to say about a week after diagnosis, and my wife found it. Very, very fortunate for that. That gave us a lot of hope. Took a lot of that scared feeling away and gave us some hope along our journey. So, I mean, that's kind of what we've lived through a little bit for the past 6, 7 months at this point.
So, how
So,
long did it take for you to get your results from the biomarker testing?
so January 31st, I was in the hospital, right?
Okay.
That's when I admitted myself into the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
February 1st, I left the hospital in the early evening.
Okay.
After that Monday, I was able to get down into the city, Thomas Jefferson Hospital, for an appointment. They thought I had lymphoma, so I had initially seen, a lymphoma oncologist right away in the morning, and he had sent me off to a pulmonologist. Pulmonologist ordered a similar to an X-ray, but standing. They thought my diaphragm had collapsed on my left side because when they did my CT scan, I was so twisted on the table where the individual who performed the test didn't straighten me up at all.
Okay.
So he's like, I'm afraid that your diaphragm on your left side is collapsed. If it is, no big deal, but I just need to know when I go in to inspect things and to try and get a biopsy what I'm dealing with, because then I'll have to deflate the lung and then I just need to know. So it turned out diaphragm was okay. But so that was Monday. That following Friday, I had my first bronchoscopy. They got a sample that Friday, the 8th.
Okay.
And the following Tuesday, I had received a call from the lymphoma oncologist and then eventually the pulmonologist to tell me that I was adenocarcinoma, at least stage 3, based off of the CAT scan and the additional scans that they had performed the week prior, which I kind of just bypassed. So very quick. I was very fortunate. So what, 4 days?
Okay.
And they said, listen, we gotta send off the sample for a fish test. We'll perform as a third party. Will confirm that it is ALK. At that point on that Tuesday, they had the ALK results for us, preliminary ALK results.
Okay.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
How you think you hear everybody else's story and how long it takes. I was very fortunate to get that information so quickly.
Right.
And live in such a part of the country where healthcare is so important, right? And at the forefront of research and technology and medical advances. Very, very thankful for that opportunity.
Yes. Yeah, the reason I ask because yes, I noticed that today, presently, people are getting the results back faster than when I was diagnosed, or when some of the viewers that have been living with lung cancer for 5 years or more, or 5 years and less. But they started doing, I take that back. They started doing, well, biomarker testing, we heard about it when I was diagnosed, and my husband was the one that did all the research, because I couldn't go online and do the research because everything was bad news. And I'm like, I'm not going to read this. I'm not. This is all bad. It's negative. I'm trying to stay in a positive mindset. So he learned about
Right.
biomarker when I was diagnosed, and I was diagnosed November of 2014. So when I had the and they did several bronchoscopies on me because I guess they weren't getting enough tissue. So I don't even know how many I had, but I had like, God, probably more than a dozen, if that, probably more. And yes,
Jeez.
I had a lot of bronchoscopy. Finally, they send the tissue off, and mine's took 6 weeks for the results. So from then up until probably, I don't know, I don't, because when I talk to different people, I try to see, okay, how fast did you get yours? So I noticed that as the years went by, it was, the results are coming in sooner than when I was diagnosed. I don't even think if anyone before
Sure.
me, if even biomarker testing was even available, to be honest. I don't even know when it started. I just know that I learned about it because my husband did the research around the time I was diagnosed and other stuff. So I'm glad to know that you got yours right away, where some of us, we waited weeks and weeks and weeks. And similar story with mine, cough. Mine started wheezing, cough. My doctor hurry up and did an X-ray, but nothing showed up on the X-ray until I got really sick, like
Right.
you, shortness of breath. My chest was tightening up, and I went to the ER. There, they finally did a CT scan, and I was admitted, and I was in the hospital for about maybe 5 days, 4 or 5 days. Um, and then I just went home and started searching for a place for treatment. But so when you were diagnosed with ALK, did they put you on Xalkori, which is crizotinib, or did they put you on something else?
No. So, because of the size of the mass and how much pressure the mass was pressing against my airway,
Uh-huh.
so I had the main mass was in my mediastinum,
Mm-hmm.
so where the airway split.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So your airway comes down, it splits off to both lungs. So where that was splitting,
Mm-hmm.
the mass was pressing against it so significantly
Mm-hmm.
that I was still having so much trouble um, getting around.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, listen, we want to hit it with some radiation. We're going to do a double dose. We're going to do 5 treatments. We're going to start on a Wednesday and we're going to finish on a Tuesday. After that, um, this was at the end of February into March. After that, you'll start your alectinib or
Okay, I like to know.
Alecensa.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my frontline
Okay.
medicine and what I'm still on right now. Full 150 milligrams,
Okay.
four pills a day, so 600 milligrams every dose, twice a day.
Okay.
Still on that, still managing levels, trying to stay hydrated, all the good stuff.
Right.
Side effects from that have come down significantly.
Mm-hmm.
The physical side effects, at least, have come down significantly from that. So,
Okay, that's good. Now,
um,
I know that you said that initially, well, you said stage 4A, but then they had said 3B. What changed from, I mean, 3. So what changed from stage 3 to stage 4A?
so initially it was stage 3. So they said, listen, we know you're stage 3
Okay.
right away based off of your first CT scan. We can see that it's the upper right lobe
Mm-hmm.
and the mediastinum. Um, I had a PET scan done between my
Mm-hmm.
first appointment at Thomas Jefferson and my first bronchoscopy.
Okay.
So the PET scan did not show, with contrast, did not show
Mm-hmm.
the lower lobe any issues with it.
Okay.
They had gone back to the initial CT scan, and in the lining of the lower left lobe, they had seen two spots that they weren't very comfortable with.
Okay.
and they weren't part of the initial report. Kind of scary, right?
Right.
They weren't part of the initial report, so they said, listen, we're going to perform up to two procedures um, to determine staging
Okay.
on your lung. You have a fatty mass in your left armpit, so we want to hit that first. If we hit that, then we don't need to do anything else. We already know you're stage 4.
Okay.
So they took about four core needles,
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 core needles to my left armpit. Um, After that, they went to that came back negative, but they were still going to do the first procedure
Mm-hmm.
on the lower left lobe or lower right lobe. And that was a CT guided biopsy.
Mm-hmm.
So they put a grid on me, they put me on my stomach, they rolled me into a CT scan, took a picture, pulled me out, figured out what the spot was, pumped me full of medicine. So I didn't know really what was going on, but I was still under local anesthesia. Um, Pulled me back out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm pretty woozy at that point. Didn't know really what was going on. Um, and they determined that the lesser of those two procedures ended up testing positive for the same cancer. So they weren't going to have to go and do the more invasive
Okay.
to determine staging at that point.
Okay.
So um, two main spots on the lower right lobe,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the epicenter where everything started,
Mm-hmm.
upper right lobe. Since it has then crossed the sternum into the mediastinum,
Okay.
bottom of my airway, being the biggest of the four, determined stage 4A.
Okay. All right. Thank you for explaining that. And I always ask, my people I interview just to break it down because everyone's cancer, everyone's tumor, everyone's staging is different. And, you know,
Yes.
and so I like that because not only am I learning, but you're also educating our viewers, and and
Yep.
that's the reason why I started doing this. I wanted to educate people. I wanted to bring awareness. I wanted to stop the stigma, and I figured every Thursday I interview somebody, and it's just bringing more and more awareness, and you know we got to be heard. I mean, we matter too. We need the funding, we need the research. And
Yep.
so just doing these videos, it's helping, not only you, because I feel it could be therapeutic as well, when people share the story and open up,
Yeah,
but it's also
absolutely.
helping our viewers because there might be some out there that just got diagnosed or they've been living with it like me for so many years, and but still, we have our good days and our bad days, and and this just helps us, in one way or another. It could uplift us. It could learn something new like I do. I learn something new every week. And if I forget, I go back to the videos and rewatch them. I'm like, okay, yeah, she said that, yeah, because it's a,
Sure.
it's a learning. And then our viewers that are not lung cancer or cancer survivors, but they might be going through something else. These
Yeah,
Facebook Live
I
videos are inspirational.
100% agree with you. I've had personal experiences where I've shared my story and people have come out and said that they lost their baby, at 9 at full term,
Yeah,
and that, how did they get through their day? And, they're looking to me for strength.
yeah,
I'm not a role model, but the way that I live my life and the way that I approach every single day, and I'm sure you're the same way, where people look to you for strength.
yeah,
I'm completely okay with that. I'm okay with sharing my story because of others have and given me that
yes,
opportunity. It's my job now to pass that on, regardless of whatever anybody's going through. If anybody can learn from my experience and find a way to somehow get through each day, whatever it may be,
yes,
I mean, I have no problem with that. That makes me want to do it even more, right?
right.
Tell your story even
I
more.
agree.
That's why when Amanda said, "Hey, we need someone to fill in because, something happened," I said, "Listen, just give me the details. I'll make it work. No problem. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, I thank
So
you for that.
I'm happy to share my story.
Yes, and thank you. Thank you for doing this last minute. Thank you for sharing your story. And like I tell our other lung cancer brothers and sisters, they say, oh, my story is not as exciting as yours, Juanita, or someone else's. Yes, it is. Your story is exciting. Your
Yeah,
story is
it
meaningful. Your story could change someone out there that's watching. Your story could touch,
absolutely.
even if it's that one person, your story could touch because you don't know what that person is going through or what they need. Because maybe my story or your story that might not touch that person, but that other person, it just might, you know what, I could relate to her. I don't have lung cancer, but I can relate to her. And they just don't know the impact that it does. And I seriously believe that, God put us on this earth for a purpose. And for us to do our purpose is to help each other out, to uplift each other. He says, help my people.
Yeah,
That's what I'm doing. I'm helping his people. You're helping his people. In
absolutely.
one way or another, we're doing it. And so I tell people it's important. And I know some people tell me, well, I'm private. I don't like to share my story. I said, but you just
It's
don't know.
okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But I tell them you just don't know
It's
the
okay. You can
impact it could
listen in the
do.
background.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
You can share in other ways, right? You can
Exactly.
share in other ways that are silent, but that still affect people, that
Yes.
still reach people.
Yes.
I shared my story with an individual who I saw on a reality TV show,
Uh-huh.
and his mother, he had lost his mother to lung cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, thank you for sharing that information. I reached out to him on social media, and I just sent him a direct message, and I said, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you just sharing her story and her legacy. I mean, it's amazing.
Yes.
Thank you. It means so much to me, and I'm sure, I offered some other additional words of, inspiration to him
Mm-hmm.
to hopefully smile as he was reading that message about his mom, and how his mom's story touched me
Mm-hmm.
based off of what I was going through. That was in June. He shared my story on his social media. He has about 160,000
Yeah.
followers,
I
right?
think
So he
I
went into a direct message, right? And he shared it with my permission. I was said, put my name on it. So then if it catches anybody that needs anything, here I am,
yes.
right? He didn't get that before he had shared it, but one of the individuals who saw it was out positive. She's part of our group now,
Mm-hmm.
but just by me organically sharing my story, it had it's changed someone else's life. It's
Yeah.
changed their outcome. Carly was 20. I mean, I might not be perfect on what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying here as far as timelines, but she was about 28 weeks pregnant. She found out she was stage 4 lung cancer, out positive, when she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Um, and she had no hope. She was lost. She was told me in messaging. She had reached out to me because she saw my comments to him and this story. And I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now because I can't even imagine what it's like to be her, bring a baby into this world, and you know not having any hope that the baby's going to do well, or that she's going to be able to be a good mom and
Mm-hmm.
be there for her child. And
Right.
I think so much of that has been wiped away, and all that fear has been turned into hope because
Yes.
of our ALK Facebook group and bringing her into our space and our community, and all the wonderful words of wisdom that we're able to offer each other
Yes.
every day,
Mm-hmm.
all just based off of me sharing an interaction with
Yeah.
someone. That's pretty
But that's
cool.
how it starts. He should, and I think I know who you're talking about, the reality, um, oh God, what's his name? What's his name? Is it,
Jason, carry on.
oh no, is that, no, I don't think, there was one that went to the Hope Summit. I don't think it was Jason. Was it?
No, no, I
No.
don't think so either.
The one that I
We've
met,
talked about,
the one that I
sorry.
met, he was the winner of God, what's that show called? Survivor, or am I saying it right? Yeah, so I met him at the Longevity
Oh,
Hope
okay. Mine
Summit.
was completely different.
Okay. So, and
Okay, mine was completely
his
different.
mom died of lung cancer, and he was the keynote speaker at the Hope Summit about 2 years ago, and I got a chance to meet him, and Adam, thank you, Kelly. It was Adam. And I got a chance to meet him, and oh my God, we were downstairs in the bar area and we started talking about working out. And he said, "Oh, I did CrossFit." And I go, "Why did you stop?" And we ended up doing burpees right there at the bar. Him and I. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing? I hate burpees. So it was such,
Right.
and look, and you met, someone and that's amazing. And he shared your story. That's just amazing. And I tell people, share your story. If you don't like to speak, like you and I and some of the, then start a blog or just write. There's
Yeah.
so many people that start blogs
Just
and
right.
write,
Yeah.
and share your amazing story, because everyone's story is amazing, and we still are here because we have a purpose. And just today I was kind of down, because I saw that one lung cancer sister ran out of time, and then I saw on our out positive group, um, we lost Michelle, and it's like I was just feeling so like, and I just got back from New York for a lung cancer meeting that I was at with Pfizer, and there's a group of us in that meeting. Gina's in that committee, and
Okay.
I came back. I was so exhausted, and then to read that, and I'm just like, I was just so down, like, oh my goodness. I said, and I pray. I said,
It's been
Lord,
a
help, better medicine, cure, research, whatever. And then I forgot I was supposed to have lunch with a old childhood friend of mine, and so I hurried up, took a shower, ran and met her. And I was already down about the two losses. And she uplifted me and says, Juanita, I don't have lung cancer or cancer. She goes, but your positive energy, your story, the way you are, she goes, you have helped me through my journey. You have given me hope. You've given me inspiration. And she made me cry. And then I reminded myself,
right.
I'm still here because I still have a purpose, and I'm not done with my purpose. But now that I have a granddaughter, I don't want to go anywhere. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna live to be 120.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live old. I'm gonna see my great grandchildren. So it gives me a purpose. And when people give me that compliment, it makes me feel good, because then it reminds myself I still have work to do. I'm not done, because now I'm going to do
Yeah.
what I do in memory of those that we've lost. And so, and I started this, and, I do so much advocacy work that I'm always traveling. And oh my goodness, I was like telling her, okay, I think my trips are over. I get a break. Next month, I'm going somewhere with my husband, and we're just going to go and relax to celebrate my 5-year anniversary. And then I get a call. Oh, do you want to come to Boston and share your story? So that's November. And it's on my weekend, my birthday weekend. So that weekend's going to be crazy, because I got to talk at the University of Chicago Hospital on the 2nd. My birthday's the 3rd, so I have to fly out. And then to do the on the 4th. And I'm going to the Boston area. I'm like, okay, I thought I was done.
Right.
But I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy,
I was gonna say, Juanita, I'll take one off
yeah.
of you if need be.
And so, and people are always, looking for people, asking, do you know of anyone? And I'm always like, okay, anyone out there, anyone's interested? Or I think I said, I have the perfect person. So, and I'll message. So if anything does come up, I'll make sure I'll let you know, Dan, because I think you will be
Yeah.
great. An asset, but there's a lot of advocacy work out there, and they're always looking for people. So I'll
Yeah.
make sure to keep you in mind, because I think you'll be a great asset as well. And Elk Positive, I'm on there and I try to keep up with everything, but I'm so busy because, I have my gym, I do this, I have the other advocacy work, and
Right.
I spend all my time with my granddaughter. She's a priority. And so,
I don't blame you.
I'm on there and I try to keep up with everyone or everything. And if I don't comment, I like everything. And Gina's like, why aren't you on the OMG? I'm like, I don't know. She goes, I said, I don't know, Gina, why I'm not on the OMG. So she's like, well, you got to be in the. I'm like, okay, fine, just add more work to me, but that's fine. So I'm a part of that. And then and I didn't go to the summit in Atlanta, Georgia, because I had just got back from DC, and I was out there with the Go To Foundation. So we marched up the hill,
Sure.
and voice our opinions and our facts and our stories, and let them know, hey,
Absolutely.
we need this funding for research. And I came back and I got sick and I had a fever for more than 5 days. I ended up 3 days later in the ER and I had to cancel my trip to Atlanta. So I didn't get a chance to go and I was so bummed. But I told the girls, I told Amanda, I'm back on. I said, I'll help you for next year, 2020. I said, and let's
Yeah.
pray and cross our fingers that I don't get sick again. Because ever since I got lung cancer, I swear I catch every darn disease that's under the sun out there. I could never stay
Yeah.
healthy, like, without a cold or sinus or the flu. I've caught the flu twice this year. It's ridiculous. So, you know.
Yeah. Just to backtrack, I
Hmm.
mean, you talked about losing a couple members
Hmm.
of our out community this past week, and those girls being Tanisha
Hmm.
and Michelle. And whenever that happens and we get that news, it hits me
Yeah.
hard. A big part of that is these women are so young, their moms, their kids are counting on them, their spouses are counting on
Yes.
them, and
I
it
know.
just shows how ugly and terrible this disease is, and it's not fair. And it makes the need to be an
Yes.
advocate and share our stories so much more important.
Yes.
I was fortunate, and my wife did surprise me with, hey, we're gonna go to the Elk Summit, and we're gonna learn a lot.
Yes.
I had already been to see Dr. Shaw
Hmm.
um, right after radiation and after starting alectinib,
Hmm.
just to confirm that what we were hearing was what we were supposed to be doing,
Hmm.
right? That ALK Summit, I had hope before that, but connecting with individuals such as yourself, and I'm sorry that you couldn't go because I know how tremendous of an experience it was for me.
Hmm.
Um, uh, there's nothing that's going to stop me from going to future
Yes.
ALK summits or
Or any
watching
lung cancer
additional,
summits. Yeah.
right, anything that's within, my needs. I'm gonna take
Yes.
advantage of it because
Take it.
I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna use that
Yes.
opportunity for strength, for positivity, whatever it may be. The go-to living rooms. I'm gonna watch those. I'm gonna
Yes.
listen to Gina coming back and Lene coming back with some of that information from the international
Hmm.
conference that they were at in Barcelona. I'm going to take that information and I'm going to run with it.
Right.
Additionally, Go2 has a walk in Philadelphia,
Hmm.
October 6th, that we're over 30 people deep already for
Right.
as part of my team. And I mean, I say that and I'm like, that's pretty cool,
Yeah,
right?
that is.
I'm hoping that I can double it, right?
Right.
Just so all the people that have shown me support in other ways previously can take advantage of the run walk, get a free admission to the Philadelphia
Hmm.
Zoo as part of it, and have a good day, and join us.
Yes.
And you know,
So make sure.
that's important
Yeah.
to me. That gives me a lot of, and the people around me,
Hmm.
that fuel me on a daily basis, a lot of hope and strength and opportunity to continue to push me forward. I'm very thankful for those individuals and the opportunities.
Yes.
Another thing of giving back, Amanda presented me with an opportunity to work with longevity
Hmm.
um, on a tip sheet of how to read your biomarker
Yeah.
results, um, and I was able to be a part of that, and that was so cool and rewarding that someone wanted to hear what I had to say and
Hmm.
what my thoughts were in reviewing a document. It seems so silly, right? If I just say it, but being a part of it was pretty
Right.
cool to have that connection with them and so on. So, all that advocacy work fuels me to be positive, to know that there are better things coming, and gives hope,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And make sure that in April, or prior to April, longevity has a national hope summit. Now it's called the International Survivorship of something something. I just call it the Hope Summit. I've been
Yeah.
going for what, 5 years now? 4 or 5 years.
in DC,
Yes, and
right?
they see. So the first time
Yep.
you apply, you could apply for the travel grant, and so you and your wife could go for free. After that, of course, you pay or you do the Survivors Challenge, which I do every year, and I raise money for them. Then I go, and then so that's in April, and then the Go To Foundation has theirs every year, their national summit in DC. Now that one is different because
Okay.
this one they go up to the hill. So this was the first year I went. They put you together. So Illinois and Indiana, because even though Chicago is my city, I'm in the state of Indiana. It's kind of weird, but I'm in Northwest Indiana, and we're considered Chicagoland. So I'm very close to
Okay.
the border between Illinois and Indiana. So,
Sure.
I'm Indiana, but we're considered Chicagoland metropolitan area. So I was the only Indiana person, and then there was a couple of Illinois. So they put us together. So they give us like our leader, and then she gets a person, and they talk to us, and they tell us how it's gonna go. If we're the constituent, and then we share our story, and then they come and they talk about the funding and what we want from them, and from the congressmen or women or congressmen or congresswomen or our senators. And it was just such a great experience. I never experienced that, and I absolutely loved it. And just to go up there and share my story with them, with Indiana, and whoever was able to see me and talk, and then follow up with the email and says, I really would appreciate it if you co-sign on this, and yada yada. It was so great. So they put you with like several, I don't know if it's several states or two states. So it was in Illinois and Indiana. So then we went all over, the hill, and just, and I sat with the Illinois people. And then once that constituent, after she was done or he was done sharing the story, and then if we wanted to add to it, and we all did, we all added a little bit to it, and it was just
Sure.
absolutely amazing. Now that one, from talking to you and getting a feel for you, I think you will do great on that one for your state of Pennsylvania. So I do encourage that you do that one, and also Go To Foundation. They give out on travel grants as well. So as soon as you hear about that, jump on that one, jump on longevity, and what's another one? I know this Sunday here in Chicago, Lung Cancer Research Foundation, they're having a walk. So me and my husband, we signed up. And so I'm on the University of Chicago team. And I think you haven't met the Chicago girls, and we're a bunch of crazy people, just so you know. So if you ever meet us at the Hope Summit, you're gonna be, oh my goodness, yeah,
Right.
they'll tell you, our viewers, Chicago folks, we cray cray, like my kids say, they're cray cray. Um, I know Ivy goes to University of Chicago Hospital. I think Jill she's going to be there, but she's on Rush because she goes to Rush. So we're all going to be there, but
Okay.
we all signed up under our hospitals, and they're like looking forward, like, oh my God, Juanita, you signed up. We heard so much about you. We can't wait to meet you. And I'm like the celebrity, but I'm like, well, where's the celebrity money? Where's the Hollywood money? So I could go buy my, so I could go buy my
Right.
dream house.
Yeah, it would be nice,
Right, right. But I do it to help, to encourage, to give hope, and
Yeah.
hopefully to save lives.
Yeah.
That's what I do it for, and I'm very blessed. I've been very, very blessed these 5 years. I was like, as soon as I was diagnosed, like, I think I was asked to go share my story at Pfizer's Pharmaceuticals National Oncology meeting in Orlando, and that's where it kicked off. From there, I was asked to be on Dr. Phil to share my story, and it just kicked off from there. And it's like, oh, I was on Dr. Phil. But
There you go. There you
that
go.
was, and I tell people, watch that video. It'll give you some encouragement. It'll uplift you. Watch that video. And I think it was 2016. I don't even remember what year I did it. It's been a while, but so
Well, Juanita, 5 years is a big
yes,
deal. I mean, you should really, think about that on a regular basis, and that's not enough, right?
right,
But it is great,
yes.
right?
Oh, it is.
That you've been 5 years and ups and downs, and I mean, look at you today. The biggest thing that I hear is you look great,
Thank you.
right?
Yeah.
You
Thank
don't
you.
you don't
Hey.
no, you hear it too, I'm sure, right? I hear it
I
like,
don't have the
wow,
long hair, but
man,
I could do this.
you look right. You look great. Yeah, I don't have any hair, so you look great. And I'm like, that's part of our community
Yes.
though. And part of the drugs that we take, we're so fortunate that
Yes.
we're able to look this way, on the outside at least,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Um, and I'm sure that some of the messaging that you received when you had gone through some of these interviews and people looking at you a little funny, probably saying, "Is she really sick?"
Oh,
Right?
yes.
Or, is she pulling our leg? Yeah, no, it's serious. It's real. You look at these beautiful women, just women that, come to mind, the ones that passed away this week, young, vibrant, beautiful, you know, performing women in day-to-day life. And Jesus
Yeah,
Christ, what's on the outside doesn't always paint the picture of what's going on the
right.
inside. And that's not even talking about the mental aspect of what we fight daily.
Yes.
That's why, what we're saying of sharing our story, the advocacy work, fighting for each other, knowing that we're not alone is
Hmm.
so important and so moving when you build those interactions with other
Yes, I
individuals.
agree.
That's part of like what really put me over the top of going to the ALK Summit,
Hmm.
was meeting the individuals who, they have the same disease. They have the same terminal cancer as I do.
Hmm.
But everybody's story is different, as you've said. Everybody's journey's been different,
Hmm.
but we all struggle with the same the same thing at the end of the day,
Right.
right? The mental aspect of it, fighting for every
Hmm.
day, um, wanting to live more and more. Gina said it. I watched an interview. She wants to live more than she ever has before.
Yes.
And I'll steal that in a heartbeat because that's how I feel as
Hmm.
well. When I was presented with this, not that I felt that I took life for granted before, but shit,
Yeah,
like I want to live more now than I ever did
exactly.
before. I want to see my little girls become women. I want to
Yes.
walk them down the aisle. I want to be there for my wife. I want to, hit those milestones in life, whether it's my kids' birthdays, my birthday, my anniversary,
Hmm.
my wife's birthday. That's what I want to see and hit and experience in life
And you will
more than ever
because
before.
and you will because you have that positive mindset. You're not giving up. You're fighting, and you remind me so much of
Oh,
me
hell
in
no.
a you remind me so much of me, but in a male version because I got to see those milestones. I When I was diagnosed, I'm like, I'm not going without a fight. I'm going to see my youngest daughter, who is now 18. I'm going to see her graduate high school. I got to see her graduate high school. I got to see three of my kids graduate college. Two of my oldest two, they didn't go into the field, they went to school, but they're firemen. I got to see them get sworn in as firemen. I got to meet my first granddaughter when I
That's
was told that you will never meet grandchildren. They told me, and don't I know I don't look 50. They told me you'll never because I was diagnosed. So don't look at my wrinkles, Dan.
Juanita, I don't judge by age at all, so you're
So
good.
when I was diagnosed at 46, I wasn't going to see 50. I said I'll be down because I'm going to see 50 because I serve a great God and I am a mighty woman of God. I ain't going nowhere. And I got to see 50 last year, and I got to celebrate it in Cabo San Lucas with my husband, enjoying life. I got to see so many milestones. I got to see my granddaughter be dedicated at my church. I got to see so many things that I was told I wasn't going to see. And who would have thought I would open up my own gym, doing, CrossFit workouts and boot camp workouts. And I'm doing that today. And it's like, things that they tell you, don't listen to them. It's all about being positive, that their
Yep,
mindset, speaking those words into existence. I tell people, tell yourself every day, I don't have cancer. I'm cancer free. I'm cancer free. I'm going to make it, and that helps. And that helped me so much. And that's why I said, Dan, I live the moment. Every chance I get,
yep,
I'm going to travel, dude. I don't even know how I get the money, where I get the
yep.
money, but I've been so blessed. God has blessed me that I told my husband, he's like, okay, I have 6 weeks. where are we going this year? I'm like, okay, well, this we're going here, we're going there, and he has to give it to his work. And so, 5 years November, 5 years for me when I was told that I was never going to see it. I'm going to see it. And my sister and my brother-in-law were like, you know what? We can't go in November, but I'm taking you to Hawaii in October. We're going to celebrate your 5 years. I'm like, whoa, I'm going back to Hawaii. I never thought I'd go back to Hawaii. And it's like, oh my
Right.
goodness, I was like crying, and my husband was so happy. And my sister and my brother-in-law were able to do that for me and says, come on, Juanita, let's go. We're going to go celebrate. And I was like so happy. And so you're right. Each day, don't take it for granted. Enjoy it. I tell people, especially my lung cancer family, our lung cancer family, I'm like, don't wait. If you want to go buy that car, buy that car. My husband, as he's 50, and I told him, I think you're going through a midlife crisis. But you know what? After he's been through a lot as my caregiver. Oh my God, my husband, when I was
Oh,
diagnosed, yes,
absolutely.
caregivers, they need love, they need attention, they need a timeout, they need it too, like we do. My husband was like, I want a challenger. I looked at him, I said, dude, you're too damn old for that challenger. He went and bought himself a challenger, and I'm like, you go. Midlife crisis or not, I don't care. He deserves it. He's done so much for me. He's been through so much with me that he deserved that challenger. So he went and bought himself his challenger, his Charlie, and he has it all decked out. And on top of that, I'm like,
Hmm.
I tell my children and I tell people that are viewers, live the moment. Tomorrow's not promised for nobody. Live the moment. Take
No.
those trips. Buy that brand new car. Buy that dream house. Whatever you buy, 5 screen TVs if you want, whatever it is, just do it. Because when we go, and we all have an exit date, but enjoy it because you cannot take all that stuff with you. And with our two lung cancer sisters that passed, what kills me is that they were so young and they left little ones behind. And every time I see that, I do get angry. I'm like, those
Yeah.
little girls or those children at that age, they still needed their mother. And they're gonna, when they graduate high school, mom's not gonna be there. When they get married, mom's not gonna be there. First children, they're not going to be able to experience to be a grandma like I have. And it just kills me. And then that's why I fight so hard to bring awareness and education and stop that stigma of lung cancer. Our politicians, researchers, everyone, they need to, understand the importance of research because they should have been here with us so they too could see those milestones like I have. And, it breaks my heart. And,
Yeah.
I cry a lot, but, you know, I know we got to go, but they shouldn't have gone this soon. And especially to lung cancer, they shouldn't
Yeah.
have, but
It just goes to say, I mean, I think you said it without truly saying it, but you know, when we're diagnosed with cancer, it's not just that we have cancer. It's that people that care for us, love us, our family, our friends, they all have cancer
mhm,
now. They're all touched by it. They're all fighting um, the terrible aspects that are presented with cancer.
yes.
Um, that my wife Brittany, she's part of the ALK positive group too. She's engaged as I am.
Mhm,
She's as invested as I am. We're one,
yeah,
right? We're one
right.
family. Uh, my mom taking me to appointments and father-in-law joining in and procedures. We're all touched by it. We've all been
Yes.
diagnosed with stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer. As terrible as that is, and I don't want to wish that on
Hmm.
anybody or bring anybody into you know, my circle or what we call our village, but I'm happy to have those individuals in my
Yes.
corner, but we're all touched by it
Hmm.
now, right? We
Yes.
all have received that diagnosis because I need those individuals more than now than ever to
Yes.
when I drop my kids off at school or previously at daycare to give me that genuine smile or crack that joke or just say good morning, right?
Hmm.
To change my day in and day out, the
Yeah.
way it starts. I mean, that's
Yes.
huge. A lot of people don't realize how much such a simple interaction can change someone else's day.
Yes.
And that's something that I talk about a lot. Um, a simple Facebook like, a comment on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
holding a door for someone that, you waited an extra 5 seconds for, right? Gave them a smile and you said, "Hey, have a good day,"
Yeah.
right? You don't even know that individual. That changes people's days, and you don't know what
Yes.
people are going through,
Yes. Thank
right? And we
you.
kind of touched that earlier, and you don't know what simple things you do day to
Yes.
day, how they affect people,
Yes.
and
Thank
you're not
you.
going out of your way in any way to do that. So if someone, I'll even hedge this to say, when I have a nurse who takes my blood, and she does a good job, I said, I'll tell her, "Hey, you did a good job.
Yeah.
Thanks for not tearing me up, because not everybody else is as
Right.
good as you are, and the way you did it. I did my part and I hydrated, right, to make it a little easier for you and a little easier for me. But thank you for being good at your job, right? And just that simple gesture, I think, goes a long way.
Yes.
So I try not to pass up opportunities to tell people, or to take advantage of opportunities to change someone's day. And it's not like I walk around,
Yeah.
you know, floating and flying around and doing crazy things. But if I see something that's presented towards me,
Yeah.
I just naturally do it now. I don't think about it. It's just a way of life
Yes.
anymore, you know?
Yeah, it's the simplest and smallest things that I noticed since I've been diagnosed that I've noticed. And so I do, take time to tell someone thank you, and if I forget, I always end up messaging or texting. I said, "I'm sorry. I just forgot. I just want to thank you for taking the time to listening to me." "Oh, no, no problem, Juanita." But even though it was a day or two, I know that I probably put a smile on her face because maybe he or she was that at that moment was like, having an issue or something happened, and receiving my text or messages saying, "You know what, on Wednesday, thank you for staying late after midweek service and listening to me." And I did that to one of my church sisters, and it was Wednesday, and it was later, and I'm like, "You know what, I forgot to thank Elder Edie for, staying in the parking lot late, and it was dark at night, just to listen to me." And I said, "Thank you so much." She was, "Oh, no problem. I'm always here." But just little things like that. Like when we got off the plane, oh my God, this pilot, it was the smoothest, the most, the smoothest landing ever. I travel so much, Lord Jesus, I travel so much. And I've been on some planes that when they land, I'm like, "Whoa, are we crashing?" This was the smoothest, the best. As I walk in, I said, "Oh my goodness, thank you. It's the best, smoothest landing I've ever experienced. Thank you so much." And the stewardess like pointed to the pilot. I'm like, "Thank you so much. That was the best, sir." And I walked away. And I bet I probably made that pilot like, "Wow, no one has probably never thanked him." And here I am, with my little "thank you so much, sir." And I'm trying to hurry up because people are behind me. And then
Right,
my husband's like, "Yes, the best one. Thank you."
right.
But that could just make, just little things like that can make someone's day, because you don't know what they're going through, how they're feeling that day, what happened, or and
Sure.
so, and when they do it to me, I'm like, "Oh wow, I needed that. Thank you so much. I needed that." And it just uplifts you and it makes you feel better, so you continue doing what you do. And because it doesn't hurt to be kind, and it doesn't hurt to say kind things to people. I just don't get it when people don't do it. You're not gonna, how does it say, you're not gonna
Yeah,
win? Well, how does it, you're not gonna get more bees without honey, or something like that? They say that's a saying.
sure.
Just be kind, say kind things, be nice, say hello, good morning. If they don't, okay, they don't, keep going. Don't let it up.
Yeah.
And I'm one.
That's tough to shrug off sometimes, right?
Yeah, but I'm
I've grown impatient to individuals who are not
yeah,
kind. Not hearing or bypassing it is one thing, but people who go out of their way to be not kind,
yeah.
or show certain levels of ignorance, I've it's so tough,
It
Juanita.
is. I know.
That's what gets me going. Like when you display those types of characteristics, I'm like, not you, of course.
Yeah.
But when people do that, I'm
Right.
just like, I have no tolerance for it because you have, there, I don't know what you're going through, but I can tell you what me and a number of people I know are going through and presented with every day, and it's not
No,
easy.
it's not.
And we find a way to get through it. So you need to change the way that you see
Right.
things because it's far easier to live this path um, than it is to change the path and go, in a negative direction.
Right.
And you know, um, I see a bunch of comments about, what I'm drinking, and just so you know, it is out of an Eagles glass,
Yeah.
Juanita. So I apologize if you're a Bears fan after last year,
No, I'm not.
but
Actually, I'm not a
this
Bears
is my
fan.
margarita for the
It's
night.
okay. Actually, I'm not a Bears fan at all. I don't like the Bears. And now baseball, I am a diehard Cubs fan. When I have time to
Okay,
watch the game because I'm so busy, but I get it on my phone. I am not a
I
Bears fan, so
understand.
don't even worry about it. I'm not a Bears fan at all. My husband is. My brother is. I tell him, God bless you, because your team sucks, and they get so mad at
Well,
me.
when you want to get them upset, just talk about the double doink, and that'll get them a
Okay,
little
I
upset.
sure will.
So,
I sure will. I sure will. But yeah, there's a bunch of comments. They're saying thank you for sharing your story, saying how wonderful your wife is, and then they talked about I think the beer and stuff.
she's
Yeah,
tremendous.
yeah. So thank you, Brittany, for letting your husband do this interview with me. I do appreciate it. Um, and my husband's great too. He's so busy. My husband is a jack of all trades. He's so busy, but when it comes to this, he knows that this is my passion, and he supports me, and he'll do all the advocacy that I need him to do, and he'll chip in and he'll do whatever. So, he's a great guy too. And you're drinking your margarita. He was having what do they call those? I don't like them because um, God, that's that new drink that it's just like what seltzer water and flavor, and it's like the big thing now. And he says, well, it's not a lot of sugar, and it's health.
I won't rat them out and tell them what it is, but they say they're girly
Yeah,
drinks, so I
yeah.
won't say anything.
Although a lot of guys in this area drink it.
Oh
My
yeah,
boys love it.
they're very manly
Yeah, I
drinks. They're
know,
very,
right?
yeah.
But I forgot what. Oh, Truly, I think
Spike
it's called.
spike seltzers or
Yeah,
Trulies
Truly,
or
yeah. And but a
yeah.
lot of guys in this area they like it too. And I'm like, well, yeah, because you guys are probably overweight and trying to lose weight. So yeah, why not drink a Truly? And tell my husband, you got a beer belly. But no, my son likes it too. A lot of them like it because they just said it's like the perfect, it's not too sweet and it's like the perfect taste. And I'm like, oh, okay. I tried them. I don't like them. I'm sorry. I like my occasion. I love my sangria. I love my Mexican beer. Occasionally I'll have a mixed drink, but I'm not a mixed drinker either. So yeah, margaritas I do like. I love margaritas. Every now and then. The only time I take shots is to celebrate someone's birthday. And the last time
Hey,
yeah,
that's okay.
yeah, the last time I took
The
shots,
only the only Go ahead.
no,
What do you drink when you take a
oh,
shot?
I love tequila, so it depends. It has to be good
There you
tequila.
go. That a
I
girl.
ask, I ask, and I'm like, oh no, no, that's not good. You got, it says, do you got herradura? Do you got, I got tired of Patron Silver, so I asked for la herradura. I asked for, I think it's Coralejos. There's so many out there, so I look for the good ones. God, but the last time I took shots was we were in Puerto Vallarta last month. My daughter turned 21, and yeah, we're like, it's your birthday, and I'm telling him in Spanish, another round, and we're just taking it. My daughter's like, Mom, I'm drunk. I said, yes, this is what you wanted for your birthday. You got it. And I think after that, none of my girls want to
Right?
drink. They're like, no, we don't want to drink no more. We're like, I said, good. Don't drink like that. You could drink, sociable, but not like. But we had the time of our life with my daughter celebrating her 21st in Mexico. So that's the only time I take shots is to
That's
celebrate.
cool.
To,
Big milestone,
yeah, yeah, exactly. I got to see her turn
right?
21. That's right, another milestone I got to see. So, you know, you and I and Amanda and the ALK positive group and the rest of the lung cancer, the EGFR resistors, the ROS1 group, I forgot what they're called, Ross Wonders, all those, we got to continue doing what we're doing so we could see all these milestones as well. And You know, it's got to start somewhere, so it's got to start with us.
Yeah. If it's not us, then who, right?
Exactly.
If we're not standing up and telling our story and advocating for additional research and
Exactly.
ending the stigma that this is a smoker's disease still, right?
Yes.
You look at me and you look at the individuals that we just lost this week, you look at all the individuals in our group, and
Yes.
I'd love to hear people say that it's still a smoker's disease
Yes.
or it's still an old man's disease,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's complete bull
It
crap.
is. It is.
It just is.
It is.
It's
And so that's why we got to
uh,
do what we got to
the
do.
fact that we the fact that you and I and the rest of us have to say we have stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer as non-smokers,
Hmm.
right? Is it's bull
It
crap
is.
that we have to say that. But here's the thing: most of the individuals, and including myself, probably you as well, we weren't aware that you could get lung cancer,
Exactly.
like this without being a smoker. We don't know what the environmental factors
Yes.
are or what it is that's really driving all these young individuals to be, and even females, to be diagnosed at such a late stage. So many of the things that we talk about and the individuals that are probably watching, um, you know, so many are aware, but there's so many that aren't aware that are new to this
Hmm.
that they don't realize the research dollars from a federal standpoint that are just so it's so
Yes,
underfunded
it is.
from an illness standpoint. It's the 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 statistics that are provided that we see through longevity, through GoTo Foundation, whoever you
Hmm.
follow online in social media, it's the, the statistics are staggering
Yes.
and how crazy it is and how deadly of a disease it is for people who never smoked.
Exactly.
It doesn't, we've got to break down the door. As Chris Draft says, right? We got to break down the door loud, right?
Hmm.
And then we've got to get them to listen to us.
Yes.
If you listen to that individual speak, and there's videos of him, he has you ready to run through a wall, through and through. And he gets you motivated. And those are the type of people that we need in our corner, and
Yes.
we're thankful to have in our corner
Hmm.
to better the lives that we have for ourselves, but for the individuals that are going to be diagnosed after us,
Hmm. Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
It's we need those individuals. We need that support. We
Yes.
need the self-funding that we do now isn't
It's
enough.
not.
We have to continue to do more and
Yes.
build that awareness. And all the saying goes, all you have to have is lungs to have lung cancer
Thank you.
anymore. As sad as it is, it's the reality at this point. Excuse me.
Exactly. And I want to make
And it's
a answer Suzanne Davis. She on the comment she put, sometimes I don't like telling people what I have because I don't know how to educate them. Well, Susan, first of all, you have to educate yourself, sweetheart. So you need to go on all these, like longevity, GoTo Foundation, Lung Cancer Foundations of America, Lung Cancer Foundation,
yep,
Research Foundation. You have to go on there and you have to educate yourself. So do a lot of reading. Rewatch my videos and take notes. Do not be afraid to
yep,
tell someone you have lung cancer, no matter what. And if they look at you and say something stupid and ignorant, because they will, do not get offended. Do not get mad. Do not get sad. Don't start crying. Educate them. All you have to say is like, no, we need to
yep.
stop the stigma. It's not a smoker disease anymore, ma'am or sir. If you have lungs, you too could get lung cancer because smoking is not the only damn thing that causes lung cancer. My goodness, radon gas. So, Suzanne, you have to really start doing your research because radon gas, pollution, all that other stuff causes secondhand smoke. I was around secondhand
Well,
smoke on
not
my
just
lab. So don't be afraid, um,
yeah.
to say you have lung cancer. Educate yourself and then go educate others. That's the only way we're going to break these damn barriers with this damn disease.
But Juanita, even more than just educating others, when you educate yourself, you need to arm yourself with the right knowledge
Hmm.
and the right terminology that when your doctors talk to you, your oncologists, your radiation oncologist, your primary care physicians, whoever it is that's having these conversations with you around your diagnosis, you need to be able to tell the proper story.
Yes.
You need to be able to speak the lingo and absolutely
Yes.
understand what it is that they're saying to you because you go into so many situations where you're talking to different people that aren't aware of
Yes.
biomarkers, right? Medical professionals. That's crazy to me.
Mm.
So you've got to inform them, right? You go in and you talk to your oncologist and you have a development or you have a progression or you have shrinkage, whatever it is that leads you to the next step
Yeah.
or symptoms that you're having where you need another set of medication in your arsenal, you actually have to know how to discuss that with your oncologist. And it comes from these different support
Hmm.
groups and sharing your story. It comes from reading Google, and I don't want to say just Google in general, but Googling ALK positive or
Hmm.
EGFR and really doing some reading on specifics, not just generalities of lung cancer.
Right.
If I didn't have um, my support system taking notes for me early on in every single appointment. We have a OneNote that my wife has put together of every single appointment that we've had,
Hmm.
every doctor that we've seen, anytime anybody's ever called us. We have it completely documented, top to bottom. ALK Summit documented, taking notes, taking
Hmm.
pictures of the slides, everything, top to bottom. Because if we ever need to go back to something, we want to be properly equipped with the proper
Right.
language, the proper verbiage as well, to have that conversation and have an educated conversation so that it's meaningful for
Right.
us and not just a doctor pushing something over on us like they may with an older individual who, right, an old man's disease, where they're not getting biomarker testing
Hmm.
or they're not, that's a whole nother subject, but just really understanding what it is that's being said to you so you know the follow-up questions, you know
Yes.
what to expect, what the next steps are. My bilirubin levels are going up ever since I started taking alectinib.
Hmm.
So I started at like zero point 0.6
Hmm.
and now I'm at
Hmm.
1.6 over the course of 6 months. So a little bit every month. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is something that I need to keep an eye
Hmm.
on. So, you know, as it continues to rise, like that's a level of concern for me. I hope it's not the margaritas, right? Because or the good Belgian beers that I drink here and there, completely in moderation. But I think I think it's important to know some of what those drivers are and how to have those conversations with my
Yeah.
oncologist to say, all right, here's my, electronic, chart that I can see from the doctors that say, all right, here are your levels from your different results of when we run your blood every month. Here's where they are on the chart. Here's what's high, here's what's low, here's what we need to pay
Right.
attention to. They drive part of that conversation, but it's myself
Hmm.
because of how equipped I've become that ultimately drives that conversation further to say, all right, so what are we concerned with? If this is something that we're concerned with, is there something that I can do to counteract that? Rather than the doctor just saying, oh, we got to watch out for this. Well, what am I doing different? What am I doing in my lifestyle that I need to change? Anything that can keep me on my first TKI, right, alectinib for as
Yeah.
long as possible and effective as possible is my goal, right? That's my ultimate goal is to stay on that medication for
Hmm.
as long as possible for it to be effective. So if there's something that I'm doing or not doing, I need to figure that out. I need
Right.
to ask those questions and I need to share within our ALK positive group based off of other individuals' experiences. So you're damn right. I'm gonna put myself out there. I'm gonna tell my story, and I'm going to seek advice of others who have been through
Right.
this. So when you talk about the individual who you just did, and I forgot her name, you don't know how to tell your story. Well, you'll learn how to tell your story. Your story tells itself.
Mm-hmm.
And the position that you put yourself from a research standpoint and the doctors that you put yourself in front of,
Mm-hmm.
that completes your story, right? And that's what really, puts a zing to your story. Not knowing your story or not having your story together or not polishing it. Not polishing it's not a big deal, right? But not taking the steps to invest in yourself and invest in your life. Um, to me, there's no excuse for that. There's individuals that are here to help you, such as myself, you,
Mm-hmm.
right? This video, um, go to's living room that they do, right? Every third Tuesday of the month, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then they just did another one tonight, like these presentations and these outlets where people have ways to learn.
Yes.
There's no excuse not to figure it out. It's just we got to put you in touch with, here's the challenging part. We got to put you in touch with one resource. Once you realize that there's one resource, then you realize there's a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
resources. Once you realize that there's a bunch of resources, then you can figure out what you like. Then you can figure out what works.
Right.
Um, for me, I'm like, give it all to me, right? If I see an article that I want to see, I'll pop it up on my iPhone. I'll save it in my, one of my tabs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll, peg something for later. Um, you know, whatever it is, because at the end of the day, I can't expect anybody else to do it
Right.
for me,
Right.
right? Even though I have people who support me, and my wife is doing the same thing that I'm doing, but if I don't want to do it, then nobody else is going to want to
Right.
do it as well. So I'm going to continue to challenge myself to want to live more now than ever and to equip myself with the tools that I need to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, great. That was great advice. So take our advice, Suzanne. Don't be afraid to tell people that you have lung cancer. Educate yourself, get that knowledge, and then, you know, educate them.
It's okay that you don't know the right verbiage as you say this. They don't know.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
if you say something to them and it's wrong,
They're
they're
not
not
going
going
to
to
know
know the difference. But
exactly.
guess what? It's not going to take away anything that you're
Right.
saying to them as far as you having lung cancer and this is what you've been through. Nothing changes your story.
Right.
You know what you've been through. Every day is not unicorns and rainbows and wonderful thoughts. Um, people say, you're so strong. You're, you present yourself so well. Yeah, I find a way to get through every day because of the people that I have around
Right.
me. And you have to figure out what those positives are in your life that make you want to live more now than ever. And Juanita, I mean, you've touched on those so, with so much emotion, your grandchild, right? Your
My
granddaughter,
granddaughter, yes.
spending time with her, traveling, your kids and their milestones, um, you know, your husband being a thorn in your side and getting that Dodge Challenger, right? Challenger, right? Or Charger.
No
Either
challenger.
way, it's all souped up. A Challenger and it's ready. It's fast, right? It's ready to
Oh
go.
yeah.
I mean, you've got to find ways to make yourself happy through this because we need a, I don't, I, we've been presented with a pretty shitty hand,
Yeah, we sure
right?
have. Yep.
But but based off of how many videos I've seen of you and how you've seen me interact with yourself, I think we both can say that we're not just going to sit back.
No.
We're not just going to let life go past us. We're going to take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that wants to come along for a fun ride,
Come on.
as long as it lasts, feel free to hop on
Yep.
board. When I ask for support in doing things, I'm not asking for no reason,
Right. Exactly.
right? It's because I want to make it even more of a fun
Mm-hmm.
time than it already is. I'm starting to do a little bit more advocacy work and finding ways to, this is what works for you,
Yeah.
right? I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do to give back.
Yeah.
Here and there, I'm doing some things, but I think there's something that exists that really is going to drive um, and work for
Oh
me.
yeah.
So I'm trying to figure that out. Um, and I'm going to take steps to figure that out. But, um, you know, hopefully partnering with Links for Lungs
Mm-hmm.
in the Philadelphia area this coming spring, summertime for a golf outing out our way.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, one of the local hospitals in the city where I do receive treatment ongoing will, be a big supporter of that. My employer, the network of businesses that are around us that we utilize day to day
Mm-hmm.
will be a part of that. And, I will take my what we call a village, right, as my wife has said, and we will present it to them and hopefully make them a part of it to help with everything that you and I are fighting for day to
Exactly.
day,
And
right?
whatever your purpose is to do for the lung cancer community, you'll know. It'll come to you. I truly believe that, like my steps were put in front of me, were guided by God, because He's like, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to go there. This is what you're really going to do. But before you get there, I got to make sure you go through these steps and you go down this road and you go. And I truly believe that. And I think your steps are being placed and you're going to do whatever it is your purpose is going to come. Just while you're getting there to your purpose, just enjoy the ride and keep doing what you're doing, Dan, because you're
Yeah.
going to do great things. Just like, because I truly believe that, I tell people, I thank, they think I'm crazy, but I thank lung cancer because it made me who I am today. um, a very strong person. I became more humble. Well, I became humble because I don't think I was ever humble.
I'm sure you were doing okay before all this,
Oh yeah, I
Juanita,
was tough.
right?
I was
Give
I was I was a
give
tough
you
cookie.
give yourself some credit,
I was a tough cookie. I
right?
calmed
But
down a lot.
listen, the way, and I think I said this in my in the story that was ran of the Survivor Spotlight through Go2 this past weekend, is the greatest piece of advice that they ask you, the greatest piece of advice when you share your story with them, um, is the personality or the way in which we live our lives before our diagnosis. They actually shape the way we change or become after diagnosis, how we live our
Mm-hmm.
lives. I truly am a big believer in that because, you know, I was a positive person before
Mm-hmm.
this, right? I didn't look at negative situations and dwell on the negative. I tried to focus on the positive.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's being an eternal optimist or whatever it may be, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. Whatever it is, fault me for it back then, fault me for it now. But if it helps me day to day and it helps the individuals that are around me,
Right.
so be it.
Right.
But it's not to say that our thoughts are perfect. Our thoughts are always
Right.
positive. When you attend a wedding and you see someone walk their daughter down the aisle, um, you know, or you see someone else accomplish a milestone that you want to then see yourself accomplish,
Mm-hmm.
it can be very
Yeah.
emotional in watching. And as a dad to two young girls, um, there's milestones that I want to see them hit.
Right.
And it wouldn't be normal for me to not have the most positive thoughts all the time that I may miss those.
Right.
And some people will say, well, don't think that way. And I'm like, well, you know what? I can't always think super positive. I can't always think of, blue skies when that's not all that this is,
Yeah.
you know? it makes me appreciate those other moments so much more, and it fuels me. But it's okay to have those
Mm-hmm.
thoughts. It's completely normal. If you're not having those thoughts,
Then yeah,
I think you're numb and there's something
right.
wrong, right?
No, I agree.
That makes me think. That makes me think of um, a way that I have kind of been taking news since a little after diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure you've had these, and we have our super highs and we have our
Super
super
lows.
lows
Oh
that we live
yes.
with.
Oh yes.
So, if I could touch on that for a brief moment, I think so if you look at the scale of, hitting super highs, right? There's our peaks, and we hit our super lows. There's our valleys. We don't want to get stuck in the valleys.
Right.
But are we willing to give up hitting our super highs or our peaks at such a high level
Mm-hmm.
so that we don't feel our super lows and valleys and get stuck in them?
Right.
And from a depression standpoint, and I'm not a doctor in any way, but this is what works for me. When I get, my quarterly scan results or
Mm-hmm.
blood results, excuse me, things that we can celebrate, I don't celebrate to the fullest. I take them in stride. I celebrate them. I have a margarita,
Mm-hmm.
right? I act happy. I kiss and hug my family. I share the wonderful news, but I take it and I move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't hit that super high for then something to happen and get stuck in that super low.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can take the super high and the super low and somehow bring them more towards the middle and live in that middle a little bit more, I think that's what works for
Yeah.
me so far. And I've been fortunate not to get knocked down too much
Mm-hmm.
since after diagnosis. Um, but I hope that's preparing myself for eventually if those super lows ever come, because I, I don't want to get stuck, right?
Right.
I don't want to I don't want to be in those super lows. It's not healthy. It's
No, it's
not
not.
it's not good for those around me, right? It's not good for you. It's not good for
No, it's
anybody.
not.
So as much as possible, if I can avoid those super lows by not celebrating the milestones of or those big scan results and stuff like that, I'm okay with
Yeah.
it, right? I'm gonna take it in stride and I'm gonna continue to
Right.
live a little bit longer in a little bit more stable of a way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you feel the same, but that's kind of what works for me, and that's some advice that I would give to other people
Right.
who are going through challenges in life, not just
Not just
stage
right.
four, non-small cell lung cancer diagnosis, but depression
Mm-hmm.
or other things that they're presented with, the death of someone. I mean,
Yes. I know. I know that
it's
one.
so
I
difficult.
know that one way too well. And yeah, it helps for you, and that's great advice. Depression, I mean, not only I was depressed for at least 2 years, severely depressed, and my family would tell you after I lost my mom. And my mom was my rock. My mom was there with me from the beginning. And I remember my mom praying and asking God, I buried a child already. I don't want to bury another one. Let me go. I don't. And so, God answered her prayers, but I had her for the next few years. And losing her, I went from being high, because I was always high. I mean, not always, but for the most part, I kind of psyched myself. And I think that's what helped me get through lung cancer, but I was always up here. And when she passed, I was down here. And like,
How could you not be though, right?
exactly, it was
You
hard,
lost
but
your
like,
mom. It's terrible, and I'm so
thank
sorry.
you, thank you. And like our lung cancer sister Lori said, it's okay to be in those dark moments, but you don't want to stay there. And I try not to stay there,
Right.
but I did. I stood there and I stopped going to church, And I think I didn't want to do the advocacy part. I just wanted to just give up in life because I felt, even though I'm not alone, I felt alone. So that was a different, depression I went through. And to be honest, when I was diagnosed with lung cancer, yeah, I was scared and stuff like that. I was sad and depressed. I think I got more anxiety, but I wasn't really depressed. But depression got me when I lost my mom, and I knew that I had to pick
Yeah,
myself up. And I wasn't picking myself up. I was sinking deeper and deeper until my granddaughter came, and she slowly uplifted me. And as she grew and stuff, I got uplifted until my husband and my kids and everyone else told me, you can't stay there. And then my sister's the one that told me this. My sister goes, Juanita, mom would not want you to be this way. Mom would not want you to live this way. You beat lung cancer. You are considered NED, no evidence of disease. You have been blessed. Do you think mom will want you to stay depressed? And then she had to tell me that. And then I was like, Mom, I love you. I'm not letting you go, but I kind of have to let you go because I was holding on to her. And then finally I was like, okay. And I started doing better. And I started uplifting myself. And I went back to church and and now I'm like back in where I'm at in my happy place. And okay, I'm going to fight this. And now I'm back to advocacy strong. And it's like, but we all go through that moment. It's not only with lung cancer or cancer, but like you said, Dad, it's, other things that happen in life. And like my pastor says, it's inevitable. The Bible says we're going to go through storms no matter what it is. Little storms, medium storms, big storms. But it's pushing us and helping us to grow stronger and be stronger. And so I
sure,
had to be in that rut. I think I had to be in that depression and to get me to where I guess I'm supposed to be. And so now I'm back. Yes, I do still cry for my mom and I think about her, but I think,
sure.
I've come to a reality and realize, like my sister said, my mom would not want me to be there. And I was there. And so now, and I talk to her like she's here, but I'm not crying like a baby. I'm talking to her and telling her, oh, mom, guess what? The baby took her first steps. And, oh, mom, guess what? I'm
Sure.
going to New York. And, things like that. It's weird. Yeah. Like she's here and I know she hears me, so, and
But you've now faced that, right? So you've had that depression. You know what it feels like.
yes,
You know you don't want to be there,
yes.
right? My month of February was just a month of depression, a
Hmm.
month of downs. I mean, no matter how much, I was presented with wonderful things, I still had this terribleness looming over me,
Right.
right? Where I wasn't educated. I didn't have that information. Yours was the passing of your mom, inevitable in life, right?
Right.
Terrible. But you've come back from it.
Hmm.
I've come back from my diagnosis and that depression of, just being in a funk
Yeah.
and not knowing what can kick you out of it. I've found the things that can kick me out of it and keep me out of it. It's for our family, it's a sense of normalcy.
Hmm.
Our girls doing their normal activities, myself going to work every day. There's no excuse for me to not go to work unless I have an appointment. There's nothing that's going to hold me down and stop me
Right.
if I can physically go into work or if I can work from home. I'm going to do
Right.
those things. That's normalcy for me. That's what's going to drive me to do the things that I do every day
Hmm.
and enjoy it,
Right.
right? I thankfully have a great employer. I thankfully have a great set of colleagues that I work with that support me, that they understand what I'm going through. So they
Right.
understand if I need to pick me up. They understand if I need a kick in the ass at the same time, right?
Right.
To really, keep me focused and keep me going because they know that it's important for me,
Right.
um, and my family to, to give us that.
Hmm.
So, it's so important to know to have that self-awareness,
Right.
right? To know your highs, know your lows, and figure out a way to control them.
Right.
It's okay to have lows, it's okay to have highs, but you've got to know how to
Right.
control them
Exactly. I agree.
because that emotional roller coaster is not healthy,
Mm-mm.
not healthy at all.
Mm-mm.
Healthy mind, healthy body, right?
Right.
Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Right? if we want to tackle this disease and we want to be successful and we want to be equipped and armed as best as possible, then we've got to fight that mental aspect
Yes.
just as much as we fight the physical aspect of it too.
Right.
You know, I don't know if it's as important as taking our medicines day to day,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can't weigh that out, but what I'll tell you, I can't I can't do the mental if I don't prepare myself mentally. I don't want to know what would
Right.
exist, right? And there's no other option for me. So this is the way that it's going to be.
Right. Yes, I agree. I agree. Best advice you could give. Thank you for that. That's wonderful. That is great. So, but Dan, I want to thank you so much for taking the time, sharing your
Absolutely.
story, um, giving our viewers and even me great advice. Um, you know, you're not going nowhere. Your daughters you're gonna be there for their weddings. I love to speak things into existence. That's one thing I do. I don't care what anyone tells me; they're not going to take that away from me. And you're going to see those girls walk down the aisle. You're going to be there for their graduation. Um, you know, we're going to make a change where research is going to make better drugs for us that we're going to live to see 120 years old. You know, I don't know if I want to live that long, but hey, that's my number.
That's the plan,
Yeah, I'm
right?
aiming for that
That's the
number.
plan.
I'm aiming for that.
You got quite a ways to go, Juanita.
I do. I know. And so, I just want to thank you, and I look forward to meeting you and Brittany one day really soon. And I think in the comments, Brittany says a shot for all of us when we meet. Girl, yes, honey. I do
Yeah,
tequila.
we'll have
Okay, yeah, I
tequila.
do tequila.
I'll bring the silver tequila
Yes,
for me and
that's
you.
right.
We'll get down with a little bit of salt too,
There you
and
go.
throw it back.
There you go. So yeah,
Um,
I'm just looking forward to it. Hopefully you can make it to the Hope Summit in April in DC, and that'll be a great start. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and then you can meet my crazy husband with his Challenger, the thorn on my side. He's fun and he's funny and fun. We're a fun couple. They're like, you guys are such a fun and crazy couple. And sometimes I tell people, hey, I serve God, but that doesn't mean that I don't curse because God knows my heart. I said, but if I need to curse, I'm gonna curse. And they think I'm crazy, but I hope my pastor's not watching. But anyways, but yeah, thank you, Dan, so much for taking this time and sharing your story. Um, and if you don't mind, I do have a YouTube channel, so I do put it on the YouTube channel because there's people that don't have Facebook and they like to, look at these videos. So I put it on YouTube for others to
No,
watch the video as well. And you're more than welcome to share it. Brittany could share it. Your friends could share it. Share the videos. Anyone. My husband says I'm listening. LOL. Um,
there you go, DJ. I'm just gonna go DJ for short. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah. He is a DJ. That's why his DJ name is DJ
There you
Slash.
go.
Yeah. And Ken says, "Where's Ken said, where's the Hope Summit? Ken, it is in DC. It's every year in April. So if you,
That's go to, right?
no, that one's
That's the
longevity.
go-to
No, that
foundation.
one's longevity.
That one's
Yeah, that
longevity.
one's longevity. And then Go
Okay.
To Foundation is also in in DC, but I think theirs is in July. So you could go to both. Okay. If you need any information, just send me a message. I'll share the links with you. I'll send you the links and everything. But yes, you want to go to that one. And if you're a first timer, they do give on travel vouchers. So you want to make sure you jump on that. Um, so yeah, I mean, like I forgot I was saying. I was saying something. My husband jumped in here saying I'm listening.
No, you were just saying that you wanted to share it. Everybody else can
Oh
share it.
yeah, yeah,
I have no problem. I wouldn't have,
yeah.
I have no reservations to you doing anything like
Okay,
that.
awesome.
I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you sharing my
Yes,
story if I wasn't okay with you putting it out there. I'm very thankful for the opportunity, to share my story at any moment, knowing that it can change
yes,
anybody's
yes,
outlook. It can change the way anybody is dealing with this terrible disease or whatever they're going through.
yes,
If someone wants to gain strength based off my situation, Some people feel weird about it. I don't. I'm
Yeah,
okay.
I'm okay too.
Have at it.
Yes, I'm the same way. So thank you again. And my viewers out there, if you want to share your story is never boring. Um, send me a message. I have openings and I'm already kind of booked to December. So, and I have to go buy a 2020 calendar book. So I haven't bought one yet. But yeah, if you want to share your story, hit me up. I could pencil you in for December. And don't worry, I will send you a reminder to let you know, hey, you got this coming up. You're still gonna do it. And if not, I always have backup, for fill in.
I'll be your backup again. We'll talk about some other
Yeah,
things,
sounds
and
good.
I'll we'll line up our silver tequila
There you
along the
go.
way.
That sounds good.
All right.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, again, hun, thank you so much. Thank you, Brittany, all my
Thank you,
viewers.
Juanita.
And like I'm looking forward to meeting you and Brittany really soon.
Absolutely, likewise.
Okay, honey. Thank you. Good night. And thank you everyone for watching. Good night. And I'll see you guys next Thursday. I love you, my viewers. Okay, bye
Thank
everyone.
you, Juanita. Thank you, everybody. Take
Yes, you
care.
too, honey. Thank you again.
Bye bye.
Bye.